We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi shares a warm hug with his Vietnamese counterpart, hold bilateral talks in New Delhi. Visiting dignitary also receives ceremonial welcome at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Haniyeh's assassination raises fears about wider escalation. UNSC nations express alarm. Indian nationals advised to avoid all non-essential travel to Lebanon. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro says ready to present all vote tallies amidst protest. Asks top court to ensure all parties do. US asks Caracas to come clean. And in sports, Indian shooter Swapnil Kusale in contention for the medal in men's 50-meter rifle three positions final. Action begins in short while from now. And on to the details now. Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh, who is on three-day visit to India, met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at Hyderabad in New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed his Vietnamese counterpart with warm gesture. Both the leaders held bilateral talks. Both the leaders held bilateral talks at Hyderabad House in the national capital, discussing key issues. Early on Thursday, Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh received a ceremonial welcome at the forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhavan. The leader later visited Rajghat and paid floral tributes to Father of the Nation, Mahatma Gandhi. And moving on, the death toll in the landslides that hit the Indian state of Kerala's Wayanad district has risen to over 170 as more bodies are retrieved from the debris. Days of ceaseless rain triggered a series of landslides on Tuesday, injuring scores of people, and several others are still missing. Kerala Chief Minister took stock of the situation. State Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan urged people to come together to rebuild destroyed livelihoods, similar to what they did after the 2018 floods in the state. Rescue efforts are also underway as the army has deployed 200 soldiers from the Defence Security Corps and a medical team to assist with the rescue operations. Additionally, 2 helicopters from the Air Force Station in Sular have been dispatched to aid in the efforts. Over 40 camps have been set up in Wayanad, with more than 3,000 people being rehabilitated.
Our bridge is nearing completion at 10 o'clock today, and once the bridge comes up, it will be a major change. We will be able to induct all equipment into the site, and once the equipment goes into the site, then we will be able to dig for people, heavy equipment. That is what we are planning to do. This bridge, which has been constructed by our efforts day and night, has now come up, and this is going to change the dynamics of the rescue operations, and that's what we are hoping. As of now, from the Indian Army, 500 plus men are working in around 5 to 6 columns. We are working here.
Meanwhile, IMD has issued a yellow alert for isolated heavy rainfall for 9 districts on Thursday. Rain and thunderstorm expected to continue till the 2nd of August. Also, Russian President Vladimir Putin has conveyed his condolences to Indian President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi over casualties in landslides in Kerala. In a tweet, he said, and I quote, "Please accept my sincerest condolences over the tragic consequences of landslides in the state of Kerala. Convey my sympathy and support to the families of the deceased," unquote. Putin also wished the swiftest recovery to those injured in the natural disaster. And in the Indian state of Himachal Pradesh, over 30 people are missing following a cloudburst in Rampur area of Shimla district on Thursday. Roads have been washed away and a hydropower project in the area has also been damaged. The cloudburst has hit road connectivity in the area. Massive rescue and relief operation continues. NDRF and SDRF team have been also deployed. Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu held an emergency meeting to take a stock of the search and rescue operations in the Samej Khad of Rampur area in Shimla district. Union Home Minister Amit Shah also spoke with Himachal Chief Minister Sukhu to assess the situation. Meanwhile, the regional Met Office has issued an orange alert for heavy to very heavy rain accompanied by thunderstorms and lightning in isolated places of all Himachal Pradesh districts. A yellow alert was also issued on Wednesday for heavy rain at isolated places from Friday. The wet spell in the state is predicted to last till 6th of August. Also, Indian hill state of Uttarakhand is witnessing heavy rain since last night, affecting normal life at many places. Cloudburst incident was reported at Jakhanayali in the Kansali area of Tehri Garhwal district. 2 people were found dead and another was injured after the trio went missing following the cloudburst. Across the rain-affected regions, rescue operations are underway. Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami is in constant touch with the local administration and instructed the NDRF and SDRF teams to remain on alert mode in the affected areas. He emphasized that there should be no shortage of funds for disaster relief work. He also requested locals to travel only after taking information about the weather conditions. And the Indian Meteorological Department has alerted about active monsoon conditions that are likely to spread across northwest India in the upcoming days. A widespread downpour along with isolated rainfall is expected to occur in east and central India. The Met Department has also issued warning of potential flood-like conditions in coastal Karnataka, Goa and Maharashtra over the next few days. Isolated heavy precipitation is likely to occur in Haryana, West Uttar Pradesh, Chandigarh and West Rajasthan. Also, after being battered with torrential rains last week in Gujarat, this week the state is witnessing relatively less downpour. During this time, only light to moderate rain is likely to occur across all districts of the state. As per the Weather Department, the cyclonic circulation that was active and causing heavy rain has moved forward. Therefore, the possibility of heavy rains is low there for the next 2 days. Meanwhile, the Indian Meteorological Department has issued a red alert for the national capital and surrounding NCR regions, forecasting heavy to very heavy rainfall over the next 24 hours, lasting until 5th of August. Delhi experienced significant waterlogging on Wednesday evening following an intense bout of rainfall, resulting in major traffic disruptions across various regions. Flights are diverted. All schools to remain closed on Thursday due to heavy rainfall. And the vigilant Indian Border Security Force foiled an infiltration bid in the wee hours today. Troops observed a suspicious movement across the international border in Samba border area on the intervening night of 31st July and 1st August. Movement of an intruder was observed approaching towards BSF fence, following which the alert troops neutralized the intruder and thwarted the infiltration attempt. And moving on, the Indian Air Force will be hosting its first multinational air exercise Tarang Shakti in August and September this year in 2 stages at Sulur in Tamil Nadu and Jodhpur in Rajasthan. The first phase, to be held in the south at Sulur, will see participation from the air forces of Germany, France, Spain and the United Kingdom. The second phase will occur in Jodhpur in September. The Indian Air Force will deploy Rafale, Tejas light combat aircraft, Sukhoi 30 MKI, Mirage 2000 and Jaguar fighters, along with helicopters such as the Prachand Light. The German, Spanish and UK Air Forces will join with their Eurofighter Typhoon aircraft, while Australia, the UAE and USA will bring F-18 fighters. France's Air Force will participate with Rafale fighter aircraft.
largest international air exercise ever conducted in India, with invitations extended to 51 countries. This exercise aims to strengthen strategic relations with our friends from international community. Complex missions are planned to enhance our mutual understanding of air operations, air power application, and also practicing multiple combat scenarios in the realistic environment. It is also an excellent opportunity for all of us to share our best practices with each other.
And India's apex court upheld states' power to subclassify scheduled castes and scheduled tribes for reservation on Thursday. The 7-judge bench in a 6-1 majority held that subclassification of SC and ST is permissible. Essentially, the court has allowed quota within quota. The court overturned the previous ruling by a 5-judge bench, which held that subclassification violated constitutional norms. According to the majority, decisions on subclassification would be subject to judicial review, and the states will have to justify their decision based on empirical evidence regarding the extent of backwardness. And moving on to other stories, another day of staggering headlines in the U.S. election news cycle, with former President Donald Trump falsely claiming his rival Kamala Harris, quote, turned black. Harris is the first African-American and first Indian-American to serve as vice president. The White House has denounced his comments as repulsive and insulting. Benji High reports for more. Take a look.
But perhaps unsurprising from a man who has a history of making disparaging remarks towards ethnic minorities and women. Someone who's played host to white supremacists, someone who's spread conspiracies about his predecessor Barack Obama's nationality, who's demanded certain lawmakers go back to countries they came from. What Donald Trump said on stage on Wednesday, whilst pressed by black journalists at a conference, was met with audible gasps as well as, frankly, extensive familiarity. He stated that he didn't know Kamala Harris was black until a number of years ago, and that according to him, she happened to turn black, questioning whether she is black or Indian. In truth, she's both. She's biracial, her mother Indian, her father black.
I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
Her campaign said Trump's appearance at the event was, quote, an absolute disaster. Amongst a tirade of hostile attacks and jibes, Trump made several other unfounded race-based allegations, including that illegal migrants were stealing what he calls black jobs. No explanation, though, of what a black job actually is. He doubled down on pardoning convicted criminals, himself now a felon, of course. And the 78-year-old, interestingly, admitted that he would absolutely step down if he felt his health was declining. He is the oldest ever presidential nominee. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is set to name her running mate in coming days, having announced her intention to run for office after President Joe Biden revealed he's no longer seeking a second term. Benji Higher in Washington, reporting for DD India.
Well, responding to Trump's comments, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris hit back at former president that he had put on the same old show of divisiveness and disrespect.
And we are not going back. We are not going back. We all here remember what those 4 years were like. And today, we were given yet another reminder. This afternoon, Donald Trump spoke at the annual meeting of the National Association of Black Journalists. And it was the same old show. The divisiveness and the disrespect. And let me just say, the American people deserve better.
And amidst international pressure to ensure transparency, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has promised to release all the vote tallies from a disputed weekend election. In remarks broadcast on state television on Wednesday, Maduro pledged that his Socialist Party is ready to release all of its vote tallies. He also asked the top court to force opposition parties to do the same. Meanwhile, shops and public transport across Venezuela remained shut down on Wednesday. In the capital, Caracas, some stores were open, though lines were long, and there was increased military presence around the presidential palace. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken denies U.S. involvement in the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. And even as protests continue near Downing Street against Southport stabbing incident, charges framed against a 17-year-old boy from Lancashire.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Vipakshi Kuran, and moving on, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the U.S. was not involved in the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and reiterated the importance of a ceasefire in Gaza. In an interview, Blinken said he did not want to speculate as to what effect Haniyeh's killing in the Iranian capital would have. Haniyeh's killing in Tehran has been condemned by leaders across the region and raised concerns about further escalation. Hamas has blamed Israel for the attack on its political leader, Haniyeh.
This is something we were not aware of or involved in. It's very hard to speculate, and I've learned over many years never to speculate on the impact one event may have on something else. So I can't tell you what this means. I can tell you that the imperative of getting a ceasefire, the importance that that has for everyone remains. And we will continue to labor at that for as long as it takes to get there.
Meanwhile, the world leaders are calling for restraint in the wake of the assassination of senior Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh and the killing of a top Hezbollah commander. There's fear these latest events may tip the Middle East into a wider regional war that could drag in the United States. Meanwhile, Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei will lead funeral prayers for Haniyeh on Thursday in Tehran. And in view of the recent escalation in the region, Indian nationals are advised to avoid all non-essential travel to Lebanon. The Indian embassy in Beirut, in an advisory, said Indians are advised to exercise caution, restrict their movements, and remain in contact with the Embassy of India in Beirut through their email ID. That is cons.beirut@mea.gov.in, or the emergency phone number, that is 96176860-128. And moving on, latest in the UK stabbing case, a 17-year-old boy has been charged with murder and attempted murder after 13 people, including 11 children, were stabbed at a Taylor Swift-themed dance class in Southport. Police said they charged the suspect, who is from the village of Banks, Lancashire, with 3 counts of murder, 10 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of possession of an offensive weapon. 3 children aged 6 to 9 years were fatally stabbed, while 5 children remain in critical condition after they were attacked while taking part in a dance and yoga class on Monday morning. Police arrested protesters near Downing Street on Wednesday as Britain faced a second night of demonstrations following the deaths of 3 young girls. Thousands gathered near the Prime Minister's residence demanding stringent punishment to the culprit and safety of children. And in Thailand, the criminal court has rejected its former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatра's request to travel to Dubai for medical treatment. Thaksin is facing charges under Section 112 of the Criminal Code. He requested to stay in the United Arab Emirates for medical appointments and personal meetings. The court ruled that Thaksin's health conditions are common ailments that can be treated by local physicians and were not sufficiently justified as essential. Thaksin is prohibited from leaving the country as part of his bail conditions. And now for all the updates from Paris Olympics 2024. Well, on day 6 of Paris Olympics, Team India is all set to feature in several disciplines such as boxing, sailing, archery and shooting, badminton and hockey. 3 medal events in athletics are also slated to take place. DD India correspondent Narayan Singh has sent this report from Paris. Take a look.
There were no medals on day 5 for India, but there was plenty to cheer, and day 6 promises to be one of the most significant days of the game for the Indian contingent, which could make or break medal hopes. It is without a doubt a day packed with critical clashes across boxing, badminton and shooting. Athletic action begins too with race walk. The main medal events in the shooting was Swapnil Kusale will be in action in the men's 50-meter rifle 3-position final. In boxing, Nikhat Zareen, in most probably the most significant bout of her career so far, Nikhat will take on a huge challenge of Chinese favorite boxer Yu in a battle of world champions. In 50-meter rifle 3-position women's category, the qualification Anju Mudgil and Sif Kaur Samra will be in action. In hockey, in a battle of 2 teams who have already qualified for the quarterfinals, Harmanpreet Singh and company will face a litmus test against Belgium to test their level against an elite team before knockout. Thursday will also determine to large extent Indian badminton run can continue at the Olympics. Sindhu faces tough test against He, and in men's round of 16, Lakshya Sen will face HS Prannoy. Talking about athletics in men's 20-kilometer race, Paramjeet Singh and Akashdeep Singh and Vikas will be in action. In women's 20-kilometer race, Priyanka Goswami will be there, and track and field action is one of the highlights of the Olympic Games. And India's athletic contingent got going with a 20-kilometer race walk entering the fray. Both are medal events here. Talking about golf, an expected hit for the Indian contingent in Tokyo, where Aditya Ashok made waves. Action begins in Paris, where Shubhankar and Gaganjeet tee off in the men's event. And in archery, men's recurve team at the Praveen Jadhav and will try to test his mettle in the mixed. If you talk about Dheeraj and Tarundeep Rai, already knocked out, and Praveen is the last man standing for the men's category.
While the sporting spirit is high at the ongoing Summer Olympics in Paris, 2 adorable giant pandas at a breeding base in southwest China's Sichuan province demonstrated athletic agility of gymnastics. The adorable giants were seen using rings and balance beams. Take a look. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.